Hi, folks, you're very welcome. And I am absolutely delighted today to have with me Mike Grogan. And Mike Grogan is an Irishman living in the Philippines who has just written a book called Unlocking the Habit Code. And I was very flattered that he asked me to review some early copies of it and was blown away by the practical approach that he gives in very, very few words as to how you can break down harmful habits that may be holding you back and can create productive habits in your life. And he gives lots of real life examples. Now, those of you who know me know I am a lazy sort of guy and a lazy sort of reader. So I actually skipped a lot of the examples and I just stayed to the real practical advice that Mike gave. And you can go through that really, really quickly. And it's absolutely on the money. He's absolutely nailed how to create new habits that are productive and useful and help you achieve your goals. But what's really interesting is today we have somebody on as a guest who has nothing to sell. He is giving you a copy of the book at no cost. He's going to give you a link where you uniquely, as a member of Genos University, you can go and get a copy of his book at no cost. The only thing that he asks is that you give an honest review for it on Amazon. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike. Well, actually, before we go over to your presentation, Mike, maybe you can tell us just a little bit about the work you do in the Philippines, because it's quite unique. And I don't think there's an awful lot of Irish people or other folks doing what you do in the Philippines.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you, Derek, for that very humbling introduction. I really appreciate, especially someone like you that has taken attention. And attention to our work here, when I was writing up my list of dream advanced release reviewers, I was very grateful that you in particular said yes. So I really appreciate those kind words. And as I share later, this book is not about my genius or anything that I created or I invented itself. It's just this: we don't have to subscribe to that belief that change is difficult or it's too hard. I totally believe that's a false belief, and I'm grateful that through reading the book that you've seen this. Yeah, this doesn't have to be hard. There is a roadmap out there, so I really do appreciate that. So you've asked me a question that I get asked every day: why is this this guy who doesn't look Filipino, is 7,000 miles away from his home in Ireland, and now I live in the Philippines? Well, I've lived in about 5 or 6 countries. I've traveled 40 plus. I found myself here in the Philippines, and I feel very blessed to be here in the Philippines. So we feel very blessed that we've spoken to over 100,000 people here. Our online videos have reached over 15 million views, and from now, we're recording this in July. We've got about 100 talks waiting for us in the Philippines from now until the rest of the year. So we are extremely passionate about getting this message. I feel very blessed to live in the Philippines, and we're trying to, I guess, empower Filipinos to break free from false beliefs and create a first world Philippines in our lifetime. For anyone that's ever met a Filipino, I'm sure you can tell most people 99% of the time a very positive story about the characters of the Filipino. Yeah. A sad reality is that the country, 70% of the country is in poverty, and it is still a developing country. And I really see the opportunity that this generation of Filipinos can be the ones to create a first world Philippines in our lifetime. And living here makes me a better man. That's 100% honest. This is the country I now call my home. And any way I can help Filipinos break free from false beliefs and empower them to create this first world Philippines in our lifetime, it's just an honor for me. So I feel our work has got a lot of attention, but I feel I get more out of this than I give back. So I'm just a very, very lucky Irish guy. It must be in the blood.
Must be in the blood indeed, and I think you're obviously a very humble man. I know the contribution that you make to your adopted countrymen, and I would reflect your findings with Filipinos. Absolutely beautiful people, and wonderfully well educated and very first world minded people. But what's really fascinating for anybody listening to this, don't think that you're listening to something about a mindset for somebody who is trying to come into the first world. One of the things that unites us all is our humanity, and we all have the same insecurities and the same problem with destructive habits, and we're creating productive habits. So when you read Mike's book, you're not going to be reading a book about dragging yourself into the first world. You're going to be reading a book about being a human and about being in this world. So with that said, Mike, maybe if you want to share your screen and just kick off with the few slides that you have. We probably run about 15, 20 minutes, and let's take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to share my slide. I'll unshare at times because I want to look into the reader's eye. But let me open. My opening statement is I want you to read this book for free. As Derek mentioned, I'm not trying to push a sale here. I am actually trying to push impact, especially in our education system. And so I guess most of the viewers on this call would be coming from a corporate background. Of course, I have my corporate background as well. But I'm extremely passionate about getting the people who need to read this book, getting this book in their hands. So as my offer, and you can see the website, I'm sure Derek will have the links in the description, unlockingthehabitcode.com/Genos, just for this community, and not for, please don't be putting this on your Facebook feed or email list. This is just for the good people of your academy, of the Genos network around the world. I really respect the work you do as change agents. I really believe both for yourself and how you influence others. I sincerely believe that if you embrace the message of this book, it will forever change how you approach personal change, as well as how you influence others to change. So it's a free book. You really can read it in 2 hours less, because as Derek mentioned at the beginning, you don't have to read all of it. Actually, I include 7 stories in the book. And I tell readers, just pick 2 of these stories that you relate to the most, about 7 characters that were able to apply the principle of the book in their life. So you don't have to read all the book, just the pieces that make sense to you. And to create your own success story. So I want readers to have this book for free. And all I ask, since it is the beginning of the book, we just released it a week ago, is to leave an honest review. And for authors, I'm sure Derek can testify this, reviews are the greatest gift you can give an author, because it helps spread the word. Word of mouth is the most powerful, and reviews really mean a lot to me. Honest reviews, of course. So that's the offer. Before we go offline again, I'll put this screen back on so that you see that link. So please, as we listen, go ahead and download, put in your email, and you'll get the ebook straight away. So I guess the first...
Just before you start into the meat of the presentation, apologies, there was one more thing I wanted to say. Folks, the internet is good a lot of the time. This Zoom platform is fantastic a lot of the time. Occasionally it goes flaky. So occasionally it may just freeze for a second. Bear with it. It always comes back. So if Mike or myself freeze, for a split second, don't think anything's gone wrong. It comes back and it catches up. So over to you, Mike, and it's you.
Oh, thank you. Well, great patience. I thank you to the listeners for great patience by sticking all the way to the end. But here is the reason I wrote this book. There's many reasons, but I believe that these 2 statistics, readers or listeners of this video will relate to. The change problem, both as individuals and as companies. We are terrible. That we must change, we really want to change, but most of the time, both as individuals and as teams, we fail to meet those expectations. This is the problem I want to help you solve. The second aspect to this is that inspiration is not enough. And I'm really looking at myself here, because in the Philippines especially, I get labeled a motivational speaker and an inspirational speaker. As I mentioned, we do lots of talks, especially in schools, in governments, in businesses. And I've written my first 2 books were about inspiring stories. But the truth is, the true truth is, inspiration on its own is not enough. Many times, and I look at myself here, that I've been, whether it be a sermon on a Sunday in a church environment or an inspiring TED Talk, the amount of times I've been inspired to change my behaviors, but yet moments later totally fail to do anything with it. It's a huge problem. And I see this in myself more than anyone. So in addition to inspiration, knowledge is not enough. And this is coming from a professional development junkie. I've been guilty of reading a vast amount of information, over 300 books. I'm addicted to podcasts, probably over 1,000 podcasts. I love TED Talks. But once again, I fall short. You know, asking me how many books I read, I don't think that's the right question to ask me. You know, ask me instead, how much of the lessons that I have learned am I actually applying in my life? And I fall short. Knowing is not enough. It's only in doing. So this is the problem I want to help people solve. And one final thing, and it's and I'm really criticizing myself here before I'm looking at anyone else, but traditional teaching, traditional coaching, traditional mentoring, whether that be in the classroom or in the corporate room, it's not enough. It's broken. I believe every person on this call will empathize with this, whether they've been on whatever side they have been on, and I've been on both sides. When I first started as a coach 8 years ago, internal training, I moved into the internal training department of the company I worked for. I did not know, but looking back, I realized I was a terrible, terrible teacher because it was all about me. I did all the talking. I was a master of PowerPoint, hundreds and hundreds of PowerPoint slides. And I did not realize that the more I talk, the less the students learn. And we have to have a revolution in how we teach habit creation to people. So one of my key takeaways, because I really want to get to the power punch of this book, but we have so many false beliefs about the reasons we fail at change, both in business and at personal change. You know, those New Year's resolution habits of want to eat healthier food, want to exercise more, or want to become more disciplined, whatever those promises that we make to ourselves. I really believe it's not because we are poorly disciplined, we have low willpower, low motivation. These are the surface level things we like to say is the reason why we fail. I believe the reason we fail, we keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. And in the book, I talk about the top 10 mistakes that we constantly repeat. I remember I'm putting my hand up more than anyone. That's why my picture is on the screen, because I want to remember that I'm actually talking more about my own failures than I'm pointing at anyone else. So in short, and this is, I guess, for a lot of soccer or football fans out there, I'm using this guy, Messi, the very famous Argentinian and the Barcelona footballer. I'm using his name as an acronym for the new perspective of habit creation that the book is talking about, and it's the Messi approach to habit creation. So let me just jump to this straight away, because there is a phenomenal amount of research on habit creation and behavioral change. And really, I tell you the truth, it does not have to be hard. It does not have to be difficult. And there is a science out there that can make change, whether that be in personal or in business. It really can make it easy. So what I've discovered is there's 5 elements, and I'll briefly share these 5 elements right now. So to leverage how our subconscious brain creates habits, this is the methodology. So meaningful, easy, social, setback ready, and incentives. Now, for most people, this may not come as a surprise, but as a wise man once said, common sense isn't common practice. So what we do in our workshops and what we do in the books is people design the new habits they want, and then with using these formula, they answer questions that activate each of these 5 elements. Number 1, ensuring that the actual activity, whatever that is, that there's a deep understanding of why this is important. It's always starting with the why this is important to you, why this is meaningful. The second is focus really on design, making it easier for you to do the new activity and making it more difficult for you not to do it. The third one is social, involving others on this journey. So that can be from two perspectives. Who's going to help you? Who's going to be your success partner in this behavioral change? And the second part of that, who are you going to help once you have established these habits? The fourth part is setback ready. You know, one of my mentors once said, you know, Mike, no plan is a plan without a plan how you're going to deal with setbacks. You know, or as the boxer Mike Tyson, I'll give another quotes of wisdom, this time from Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. So we all can make these great plans, but what's going to happen when we hit a setback? And that's the fourth element of this methodology, is dealing with setbacks in advance, understanding that there definitely is going to be setbacks along the way. What is your plan B? What is your recovery from setbacks? And the fifth and final element of this methodology is incentives. And I'm not talking about, I know when I share this in business environments, some leaders always think I'm talking about money here. This is not about money. Money is one incentive, but there is so many, thousands of different types of rewards and punishments that we can use for both ourselves and others to help stick on this path until these activities, these new desired behaviors, become habits. And that's the kind of messy approach. And as simple as it is, it's asking questions related to those elements that create the science of habit creation. So if we're to, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, that I actually do want to kind of put my screen back here, but for everyone, once again, who wants to get in contact with me, that's our website. You have more details about the book. We have over 100 testimonials. Even from the great Derek McCann has given us a testimonial. The author of Getting Things Done, David Allen, has written a testimonial. Very humbled by over 100 different testimonials. But I really am so passionate about getting people to read the message of this book. And once again, this is the offer. You'll see on your screens. Just click on that link. Get the book yourself. I believe that the most powerful part of this book is those 7 stories. Ordinary people, 7 ordinary people who use this method to create an extraordinary change. And if you were to ask me what of the book am I most proud of, it's really those 7 stories of people that I've worked with over the last few years and their journey from wanting to create this change in their life and using this methodology to successfully establish that change. And you'll see a before and after testimony 3 months later. That it's extremely powerful. So that's the most powerful part of the book, and I would really appreciate your readers going for free and checking that out. So I'm just going to stop there for now, and you can see my image again. So Derek, what would you like to add, since you're ahead of our readers that haven't read it yet? What did I miss? What do you need? What question do you have for me that you want me to expand on?
I really love, Mike, if you were able to give a real fast, we got a little bit of an echo, a really fast overview of the main steps, because what struck me about your approach, and it's what I tried to do in my own work, is that it's very practical. You have some very discrete steps. So if you're able to just give an overview of the key steps that you advise people implement when they're trying to create a set of useful habits to support some goal or purpose or aspiration that they have.
Yeah. So the power is in the questions. I tell the method I use actually in the book writing, learning from great writers out there, actually don't disclose the method at the beginning. So here we did something a bit, which I haven't done in the book. I explain the method at the end because I want the stories to be self-evident. And all you need to do is actually read 1 story and 2 stories to go, oh yeah, this is common sense. It's actually just the the real secret here is asking the questions that activate. That's those 5 elements. So to give a very practical example, I ask certain questions that activate those elements. So for the meaningful, I always ask, what is the desired result that you're looking for? So if someone is trying to improve their health, or someone is trying to become more productive in terms of how they interact with their clients, I always challenge people on 2 questions. What is the desired results that you're looking for? What does good look like? And the second follow-up question is, why do you care about that result? Why is the purpose behind that result? And I think one of my greatest lessons that I've learned from teaching so many different workshops is when I was started in the classrooms, one of my biggest mistakes was I unfortunately tried to answer that question for people.
Yeah.
When I was teaching, it's only looking back now do I feel it was such a huge mistake. One of my biggest mistakes as a teacher. Never answer someone else's why. And what I found was that I should not be telling a class, here's the 5 reasons or whatever 10 reasons you should learn the skills of emotional intelligence, learn problem solving, improve your leadership skills. What I've learned instead was just ask the question and give them the time to go deep here and explore all the different 50 plus reasons why they should improve their leadership skills, their emotional intelligence skills. I found that when I do workshops, that is the single most important exercise we do. I think as trainers sometimes we're so excited to share the how, we quickly go through the why. And that's when I look back at the classrooms that I've done, that was the number 1 mistake I'd done at the beginning. So now when I challenge a class, and it's quite interesting how it happens. As an individual, you might come up with 6 or 7, maybe 10, 12 max reasons to make that change. But when you put people in groups and thinking groups and give them enough time, I tell you the truth, they will come up with 50 plus reasons. Because other people are giving you perspectives. Oh yeah, me too. I didn't think of that. And they're writing down. So that for me is one of my favorite activities when I get people to do this, to really go deep on the why. So that's on the why side. And I'll give one more example of a practical question. And it's so simple, but it's the designing the environment to make it easier to do the new activity and difficult not to do it. And I'm going to ask people, maybe, have you ever done this? Have you ever brought something home from work and the next day, because it was so important, you left it in a place that you would not forget it in the morning?
Yeah.
Or your keys, you put it beside your car keys or your phone, or maybe actually on the door. These, as simple as that is, you're tricking the mind to not forget. And that's one of the things that one of my teachers told me, learning from the great Edward Deming. A bad system will defeat a good person every single time. Losers of goals, winners of systems. So trying to put systems in place. For example, when people try to eat healthier food, the first place you should start is your kitchen. Diet your kitchen. Take away those unhealthy triggers. Even just the smell of certain food is enough to bring you back to old behaviors. So it's intelligent design, intelligent use of tools. And on our phones, there's so many powerful apps you can get on your phones that really help you kind of stay on that path. Maybe I'm old school. I prefer pen and paper myself, the traditional checklist. But there's just so many different tools and things you can do to your environment to make it easier for you to do this and more difficult for you not to do. So the 10 questions that we provide in the book is really just reminders of you, answering those questions activates something that makes it easier to increases the likelihood. With every question you answer, increase the likelihood of you making the change sustainable.
Yeah, and what I liked about it, folks, and Mike's obviously not going to give away the secrets, and I admire him for it. But what I liked about the book is it actually takes you on a practical journey. So once you've read the inspirational stories and the stories of where people have implemented this, then he works you through a process, and you're capturing your process as you go on paper, so that at the back end of it, you end up with a pretty firm, and you stop me, Mike, if I characterize this incorrectly, but this is my language. I would say you end up with a very clear, laid out plan on how you're going to execute and how you're going to do things and how you're going to deal with the inevitable setbacks that you get. And that's what I liked about it. It was very practical. There was no useless theory, no you should. There was a lot of, okay, take this step, which as a former engineer I love. I hope I'm not mischaracterizing.
Well, I'm also an engineer. I don't say we're maybe former practicing, but maybe the mindset always stays with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a non-judgmental book. The type of changes you want to make in your life, you decide. I do not want to be, I'm very sensitive of this. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a guru. The changes you want to make in your life, you decide what those changes are. You want to go 1% better, you go for that. You want to go 10% better, you go for that. Total give you freedom. But what I want to give you, the methodology to significantly increase your odds. And that's it. Reduce your risk of failure, significantly increase your odds of actually making this a habit. Because as you know, when we do cross that threshold and make it a habit, it's the breakthrough we all want. It's the companies we most admire in the world. Their secret sauce is habit creation. And two of the companies I study a lot, Starbucks and Toyota, and there's been hundreds of books written about those two companies alone. I really believe that their secret sauce is how they teach these habits, whether it be customer service or problem solving or coaching, whatever those habits are. It's how they're able to teach this to their employees that really is the secret sauce of their success. So I believe anyone can use this book, whether from different backgrounds, on your team, on yourself, on your family. So many people give me feedback, parents, of how they're using this to teach habit creation to their own kids. So it's so exciting and that's why I'm going to be giving away a lot of free copies of this book to the right people that are change agents, because I know by those people that are listening to this, you're in such a powerful position to influence those that look up to. The message of the book is modeling, becoming the change that you want to see in the world is the greatest way, and I would dare to say the only way that we can influence the type of changes that we need to see in this world.
Yeah, and by the way, and a lot of our folks, as you know, Mike, a lot of the folks who'll be watching this are independent coaches, consultants, and trainers, and most of them will aspire to build a better business, a more reliable, a more solid business that gives them a more reliable and a larger ability to earn. And I just want to be really clear, that is absolutely the sort of aspiration, the sort of goal that Mike's methodology can help you achieve just as easily. You want to drop weight or you want to build your business, as he says, it all comes down to habit. So I would say if there's the slightest little part of you saying, I wonder, I would say grab the book. It's not going to cost you a cent. Grab the book, invest a couple of hours on it, into it, and I think you're going to be really, really pleasantly taken with what you're reading there. So, Mike, anything else you'd like to say just in closing before we pull this to a close, and maybe we put the slide back up again with the in a moment with the offer address on it, and I'll include that obviously when I mail out details to people. But anything you'd like to say in closing?
Yeah, a short story, very short, and I want to show a picture.
Okay.
And this goes to my why. Another reason why I am so passionate about this, because I do get asked the question. My background, I was working in corporate America for some time, climbing a great ladder. And my life changed in 2010 when I went to another side of the world in Tanzania and Africa. Saw another side of the world and was just heartbroken about the inequality that I saw. And now I find myself in the Philippines getting giving hundreds of talks, especially to schools. I really believe with Mother Teresa, the power of focusing on the one. And I just want to show one picture of this beautiful little girl. I'll just share my screen for the final time here. You see that picture? I hope that's coming up on your screens.
Not yet.
Slowly, it's coming up. Oh, I forgot to press share screen.
There you go.
Rookie mistake.
Okay, I see her now. Oh, what a pretty little thing. Yeah.
A beautiful young girl.
Yeah.
And blessed that about half of our talks are with schools. And most of those schools are kids from disadvantaged backgrounds. So that's me and my co-founder, Mary, with this young little girl who attended one of our talks. And she was inspired that day by our message. Our message was, to help her break free from her false belief, give her pride in who she is, and that even though she's born poor, that does not define our reality.
Yeah.
But still, my heart breaks for this little girl, because I know, and the one thing that really keeps me awake is that inspiration on its own is not enough to help this girl. Knowledge on its own is not enough to help this girl break free from that vicious cycle of poverty. We need more. Our education systems across Europe, Australia, across the Western world, across the developing world, it is really broken. We are leaving so much of humanity behind. And one of the reasons I'm so passionate about sharing this book, Europe, Australia, across the Western world, across the developing world, it is really broken. We are leaving so much of humanity behind. And one of the reasons I'm so passionate about sharing this book is that people on this call can become the role models to show people that change, it does not have to be hard. We really can. Sorry, I'm going back to my screen now. How do I stop share? We really can make change easy. I'm committed to playing my role, and I spend 7 months locked up in my man cave. I'm sure, Derek, you know that it can be quite tough writing a book, quite lonely, but I was so committed to getting this book out there so more people, this young girl's teacher, this young girl's parents can read this book and go, okay, now I can be a better role model. Now I can be a greater influence on the people that look up to me. So I want the people on this call to download the book for free, read it yourself, take on the challenge that the book gives you, and be that change, be that role model. We need more people that are coming, that are live that example. And I'm so thankful, Derek, that you've given me this opportunity to share this message. It's my favorite subject in the world, so I could talk for hours and hours. But that would be my closing comment.
Well, listen, Mike, thank you very, very much indeed. I know, because I know the people and the sort of folks who are on this call, I know everybody's going to grab it, and I know a great percentage are going to finish it, and then a smaller percentage will actually take action on it. And I hope those of you who actually execute upon it come back and let us know, so that we can share that with everybody else. And don't forget, the lifeblood of a book like this, are reviews and testimonials. So if you download the book, please, whatever is your honest opinion of the book, just post it up onto Amazon, and you'll be doing Mike a solid favor. So Mike, look, thank you very, very much indeed, and thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for the generous offer, and thanks as well in general for the contribution that you're making to all our worlds. Because I think when we meet people like you who are actually giving something back, I think it tweaks that sort of little bit of guilt in us that we should be doing a little bit more ourselves. And I'm just thankful that somebody is doing what I'm feeling guilty about not doing. So thank you for that as well. So on that note, thanks a million, Mike, and all of the best for success, for the work and for the book. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek. And thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. This is an amazing call. Until next time, and contact me. My contact details are there and they're on the book. Love to hear your stories.
Great stuff. Thank you, Mike.
Bye now.